This is us. We're live. It's
We're
the
live.
world.
Hello, hello.
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us on a Monday night here at DJing TV. Ian is already in the chat room. Thank you for joining us. We are broadcasting live on YouTube. We're broadcasting live on Facebook, and we think we know what we're talking about sometimes.
I don't know. All right. I'll try to answer the best I can.
Tonight, my guest is Mauro Luna. Mauro's a friend of mine. We've been knowing each other for a long time. We've talked on different topics and shared that intellectual knowledge that only experienced DJs can share. And tonight, we're going to hopefully bring a little bit of that to you guys, specifically for those, a lot of you have been in this industry for a while, but there's some of you out there watching who are a little bit older, let's say about 40 years old, and you're really wondering, is this something, should I jump into this full time? What do I need to do to jump into this full time? Maybe some of you this will be your first experience of really digging into it, because we're going to tag this so you guys can find this. But we're going to talk a little bit about being a DJ over the age of 40, 45, 50, which is kind of where Mauro and I are these days.
I'm older than you, John.
I know you are, but I'm not that far behind. And, when those speakers come around and they're heavy and big, and I don't feel as young as I used to be.
Hey, welcome to the club.
So first off, we're going to break this kind of into segments. We're going to talk a little bit about some of the problems or the little, I don't want to say inconveniences, but basically some of the struggles you'll have as a DJ over the age of 45. Then we'll talk about some of the gear, and then talk about a little bit of the marketing of being a DJ over the age of 45. So Mauro, what kind of experiences do you have? We're no longer 25 and cool. What kind of things have you run into out there as you've been a little bit older DJ out there performing?
Heavy speakers. I'm just saying, heavy speakers. I mean, I had some. My first speakers were like PVs. PVs.
Yeah.
And they're pretty heavy. And then Servant Vegas. No, I got heavier as I went, because I think we have like the mindset. It's kind of like a buffet line. We want to get as much food as we can, but we can't really finish the food. But I'm just using that analogy. We want to get as a DJ, sometimes we go in the direction of getting things that are big because they sound, we think they sound better because they're big. But in reality, that's not the case anymore. So, and yourself, I think you've been, I think I've seen your videos where you've been using some of the smaller powered speakers.
Yep.
And they're excellent speakers. I mean, and they do basically the same job, but now if you see, the industry's kind of going small, and the line array small, and it's getting to be a little bit better for the DJs like myself that have back problems. I've had back problems, and a lot of DJs probably might have back problems or different issues. Maybe they're physically not able to carry heavy speakers. So there's always options out there, and there's a lot of them out there. There's a lot more now than there were when I was back in the 70s. They're just big speakers back then, and they're all massive.
So you mentioned back problems, Mauro, which is something, of course, we all are starting to find out as we get a little older. I find that standing for the period of time at a wedding it just kills me compared to what it did. Have you had that struggle, and have you found a way to kind of help that?
Well, yeah, I have these. I have a rug. It's a really nice, rug that it really gives you some support. So I bring a rug that's actually a really nice padded rug, and I also have. I put on my legs these support. I'm old, so I put these support leggings on my leg, and that really helps a lot. So it helps me. It helps the support on my legs. And, for those people out there, when you get older, you get varicose veins. I know. Everybody's going, what? You get varicose veins when you start getting older. And that's because you stand up so much. And the capillaries in your veins start to go all over the place. So a lot of times people don't realize if you start at a young age and start having support, even though you don't need it, you might consider a nice, padded rug or support, and also these leggings that you can buy at Walmart, anywhere really. And that's really something that my doctor suggested. So
Yeah, compression socks are huge. We've got a few people in the chat room. Michael, James, thank you for joining us. If you are joining us out on Facebook Live, the chat that I can follow is on YouTube. If you go up into the description area, you can find that link to bring over to the YouTube channel tonight. But yeah, compression stockings. I've actually got. I think I got a pair when I was one of the surgeries I had when I had a back surgery, and they sent us home with those. And there are times, as you say, I've worn those under my my dress pants and had those compression stockings on, and then had my dress socks over it, so you really couldn't tell you had it. But does that make a difference?
You're right. You can't tell. Plus, you feel better. I mean, the whole evening you're not as tired. I've noticed that my legs aren't as tired. It just works. So that's just a suggestion. Even if you're younger, DJ, I would suggest that you'd see the difference when you get home. You're relaxed. It's hard. They're hard to get on though. Those compression, they're hard to get on. But once you get them on, they're pretty good. And you got to get the right size, because I bought some small ones, and literally it just cut off the circulation.
Too much.
So I had to get the right size. So you have to make sure you get the right compression size. Yeah,
for sure. James mentioned rubberized mat. I think that's another thing that I've done. Is I purchased those little 2x2, 2 foot by 2 foot little squares that have the little edges that catch and lock in. I purchased a thing of those. I think there were 5 in a box. I take 2 of them with me to my shows, and that becomes right behind my table. Yeah. Just that helps tremendously.
Plus, actually, I have an industrial. It's an industrial mat. It's nice. Rubberized on the bottom, and it has cushion, like a really kind of cushion on the top. But you can get those online as well. And the thing I find it also hides your cords. It kind of does a great thing for covering your cords and stuff. So then you won't trip. That's another good advantage you have for having a nice mat behind your DJ booth if you don't have one already.
Probably the other aspect I would recommend as we're talking about this is I've taken my nice dress shoes and I've taken and replaced the inserts, the soles in them, and because as we get older, we need more arch support. It's just the way it is, gang. If you aren't there yet, you will find out shortly that you need to have better arch support. And I had some custom ones made, and then I had a pair that was actually recommended by Mark Farrell when he was talking about his hiking through the mountains out there, that he had gotten a pair of special inserts. You can buy them off, but they are a low, medium, and large or high arch support, whatever they were. And that have been huge.
Now, dude, I personally think that you can also get away with Dr. Scholl's, the gelling, the gelling thing. Yeah. I put them in, and those were pretty good too. I mean, they're not custom made, but you can go to is it orthopedic?
Yep, yeah, it was an orthopedic that.
Yeah, so I think that's the right terminology, and you can have them custom make something. But if you don't want to go through the cost, I mean, of course, your legs and your feet are very important. So maybe I'm gonna say it's probably worth thinking about that as well.
But it's also $300. At least the ones I had made were $300, and it's like it's like they better be really good.
Think about it. If you're going to be doing this for a long time, worth the investment, right?
That was the idea, and that's why, because I was coming home after, and my arches and my ankles would hurt in the lower extremities, and it's like, there's got to be a better way. Yeah. And that was something that my local doctor had recommended, is to first go to the Dr. Scholl's and stand on that and get something, and then after that, continuing on the whole path there. It just didn't do as well as getting, and I want to try to see if I can find those.
That's really good to have. I mean, considering you're investing in yourself, right? So
for sure.
Now that I think about that, I need to get a new mattress as well.
Exactly. It's been 8 years according to the commercials.
There's like $2,000. I went to the store. I got some furniture, but I also was laying down on these mattresses. I'm going, I got the wrong mattress. Mine was so firm. I need something like they call a plush. I don't know. Mm-hmm. We're talking about mattresses now, guys. I can't believe we're talking about mattresses. Okay, yeah. Well, maybe that's an investment. I mean, because sleep is important, right?
Oh, for sure. It's all part of that process, and yeah, but we'll have to get that one and the other, because then we get into diet, making sure we're eating better and drinking. drinking this instead of
new health show. John,
oh
DJs for life.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, let's continue on. So that obviously there's some health things, or we have to take into account for. We also have to, as we're progressing. I'm at 47 now, and I've done high school dances for a long time, and I'm getting to the point now where I'm no longer. I don't fit as a teen dance DJ, and I know there's some guys who out there are doing teen dances at 60, but it's something that as we progress in age, you're going to have that where kids are looking at you not as even dad's age. Now, if you think about it, there's some of the kids in that crowd that I'm at the age of their grandfather, if it worked out right.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with that. So there's one word for that. One great tool for doing high school dances. If you want to get there to the high school dance, great, but invest in a roadie.
Yeah.
Invest. I mean, of course, I have dollies and different things where I roll things out, like the rock and roller, that cart. That's awesome. That's a great cart. But you really have to watch your back. So I wear like this belt that goes around my waist. It's got Velcro, and it really firms up my back. So when I'm lifting, I'm not using my back muscles to do. I mean, not as much, but it does help. So if you're going to be using your back, and they say, yeah, you got to know how to, lift. And if you're going to lift, try to get some help. Even if you can, maybe go to the high school and say, is there going to be help there? Get some of the football players to help me out.
Or cheerleaders. I don't care. Anybody can hold these, not me.
Either way, it works. But that's important. You have to know. I mean, if you're going to do high school events. Now, I don't do high school events for the reason you just said, that I don't want them to think, hey, there's grandpa doing my high school event. I mean, I really have kind of I've been called to do high school, but I always refer it to somebody else in my area. That's what I do. I just don't, there's just certain things I do, but I'll tell you what I do mostly are weddings. I'm going to say now it's 99% weddings. Sometimes I'll do different things, but it's usually weddings. And even then, I'm thinking, when am I going to quit doing weddings? I think we talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
When's the time to throw in the towel? So I'll put that out there. I told John earlier, hey, maybe 65. When I get to 65, that's retirement age. I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
It's hard to say. You never know. I mean, there's DJs out there. They're older than me, and they're still DJing.
Oh, for sure.
And more power to them. I mean, I really respect that they're still going out there, and doing weddings. And some are even doing, other things besides weddings. But hey, more power to them, for doing that. For sticking, guys. I'm just saying, when's a good age? When is a good age to retire?
I don't think there's an answer for it. I think it's going to be different for different people. That some people will be an old person at the age 50. Some people, you mentioned that they're much older than you. We've met some of them at the conventions. They're pushing 70 something, and they're doing 3 nights a week and they're just happy as a lark.
Yeah.
So I think it just really depends. Each person's going to be different.
We were talking earlier about my mom, and the reason she's going is because she's 84 years old. She still goes to work. And you were talking about your I believe your grandmother?
Mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law or grandmother-in-law.
Yeah.
So we were talking about, hey, that's kind of what keeps them going, that activity. So, like you said, it'll be different for everyone. It'll be different. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a quick little break here, Mauro, and then we'll come back, and then we'll dig into some thoughts with gear and such. We've got a few of our summer 2016 DJing sponsors. We get them right here.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
You're only as old as your prunes? That's what somebody put in there. Hey guys, thank you for joining us tonight. We are talking with Mauro Luna tonight, talking about DJing as we get a little bit older. And some of us have been in the industry for a while. You guys have been sharing some great tips with things you found that have worked for you. Thank you for sharing those. We're going to talk about gear. Before we do that, I did find the insoles, the inserts, and I've spent about the $40 ones from the chiropractor. I've done all of the Dr. Scholl's ones that fit, with the standing on that, and the custom ones. The Super Feet, it's one word, Super Feet, and I bought the orange ones, but they have different colors based on the amount of arch. And I think I bought the orange and the black, and those have been the ones to check out. So those
I wear them at my events.
Yeah, I would be so dead if I would wear.
I know. I'm just messing.
They would be so sore.
I know. I have worn tennis shoes when it was where I wasn't going to be out in the crowd. It was more like sound. It was like they wanted background music. I was going to be living in my booth, so nobody would see me.
Yep.
So
I've done that, but now that after I did the last inserts in the dress shoes, they're actually more comfortable to wear a long period of time standing in the others. But let's jump to gear now. You mentioned earlier when we started that the gear's gotten lighter. If someone is going out and doing, let's say, that we want to be able to do the weddings that are up to 150 people, what type of a sound system, let's just talk sound system, would you recommend? Because I get this question from DJs all the time. Hey, I want to do weddings for about 100, 150 people. What should I get? So let's give them kind of a baseline. What do you think?
Well, chat boards will be going crazy here because every time I mention Bose, everyone's like, they get crazy about the pros and cons. But I think really, to be honest with you, I think that a lot of people that have never used Bose don't really understand until they use them. Then they understand. So I use, if you notice right here,
There we are.
back to that little Bose Compact, and I've used the Bose Compact for about two of them, both sides, for about 150 people. And if I go a little larger than that, I use a subwoofer and I connect to that. So that's perfect, and that's been my go-to system for a long time. Unless the application calls for more sound, then I have that option to go with bigger. But I don't need to. I always use these back here. Well, that one here. Got two of them. So they're easy on the back. They're easy to hook up. I'm not a Bose spokesman or a salesperson, but they have been really practical for the last 5 years because my back was killing me, and I wanted something that was compact, mobile, and easy to use. So I went with those. There are, like I said, we were talking earlier, there are a lot of speaker companies now that are bringing out smaller, systems. In fact, Brian S. Red, he has a video on his micro system. Yep. Really cool. It just depends on what you want. It doesn't mean you have to go with Bose. It could be any. There's a lot of companies out there. I think JBL has a version. They're kind of going with the same kind of version. But I see a lot of companies kind of incorporating the smaller, smaller sound system for that application. So I've never had a complaint. I've done 150, 200 people. In fact, they're kind of amazed because there's just these little sticks, and they're like, "Where's your speakers?" Yeah. They're like looking for the speakers, and I said, "They're right here." And they go, "Oh, those are pretty nice." They actually compliment me on the sound, and these are young kids. They're like, "Well, I couldn't believe it." So I don't think because it's small doesn't mean you're going to have the same quality of sound. Larger speakers will have more dispersion, yes, but you don't really need that when you're going to like the size of 150. I know a lot of people will they'll give us different. Let me put it this way. I think it's whatever you use and whatever works for you is great. But these work for me, and I've never had any issues with them. I've never had nobody say, "Hey, you need more bass with that." Nobody's ever said, "Hey, I need." Nobody really has ever complained. In fact, I got a gig because of this. One time, a customer briefly said, the last DJ we hired brought in this humongous sound system, and we really didn't need it. So I think the DJ just didn't understand the customer's needs. And he said, it was so massive that it took up most of the room in the room. Yeah. And so they said, but we like your system because it's inconspicuous.
Yep.
And it sounds great. So I've actually sold one customer on that, and that's how I got hired. And I've done this customer's events for 5 years using the same system. So, and it's good on the back, John, because as an older DJ, or if I always recommend to lady DJs, if you're physically incapable of carrying big speakers, that is something to consider. Or the other companies that are putting out similar systems, so you might look into that. So
yeah.
that's just my opinion.
For sure. You got some similar LD systems that's got their Maui systems, which are built along the similar line. You've got RCF that has the EVOX systems that would also fit into that. And there's some more stuff coming out. I don't know if we'll be talking about this at DJ Expo or not, but there's some cool things coming out in this arena that will be kind of fun to be talking about here. But yeah, I think, Mauro, that's a great topic there when you're talking about that, because sometimes we get in that point where we think we have to be the loudest, the most, we have to be able to have 130 dB across the dance floor. And most of the time we don't. We need maybe 100 dB to go across that dance floor, or even maybe 95 dB. And some of these little line arrays can fill a room better than that horn-loaded speaker. So it's something that a person really needs to kind of think about, because another thing is you can put all that in the backseat of your car, if I'm not mistaken. I think I've seen the pictures.
Yeah, I can put it into my PT Cruiser, and I still have room left over. So it's just a nice system. And like I said, it just depends on the application. I'm not saying that you can put this in a high school gym. No, it wouldn't work. You have to understand the application and how you apply sound too. So it just wouldn't work in certain situations. I mean, if it's over 500 guests, no, I bring in the big guns, for that. But for the smaller system, for the smaller weddings or events, it's perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. With some of the smaller events that I do, when I'm getting to that 50 to 100 person, like a karaoke party or something, I've gone to using, and I've even shown some video of that little Yamaha, that Stage Pass system. 2 speakers, amplifiers built in. You snap it apart, it's up on there. It's lightweight, quick to set up, and it sounds great. I mean, it does the job for 50 people wonderfully.
Yeah, that's all you
need. Knowing what's out there. Let's jump to lights. We both have seen a lot of cool lights over the years at the different conventions. If someone's wanting to get into lighting but yet not have a ton of weight and be struggling with that, what would you think would be a good starting point for them?
Well, there's different lights out there, and different companies offer different lights. I have a American DJ Fix Bar 5, I believe. I'm not sure if that's the right name for it, but it's 3 effects in one kind of light, where I can just bring that, and it's just a little light show, in a little small package. Also, the micro system, like the micro lasers. A lot of companies have micro things now, micro lasers. Those are another way you can put a light show without having a lot of lights. A lot of times you can plug and play, just as long as you have like a wireless kind of switch system, where you don't necessarily have. A lot of people don't realize that when you go to an event, sometimes they don't even require lights. They're not asking you for lights, but you want to bring a little ambiance with lighting. So in a way that you can bring it without having a massive light show, that's totally your option is to really basically bring a smaller light show. Just bring something that's smaller, but yet it'll do the same thing. It'll have enough dispersion in the room. And I've used systems like that for 150 people, like we were talking about the sound, and it works fine. And it actually disperses the lights all over the place. And I use the jelly gressors work fine. That's plug and play. Jelly gressors from American DJ. Those work fine, and they're very lightweight. They're not DMX controllable, but if for a DJ that just wants something to put up for a client that's not asking for lights, that's a perfect way to go without going into DMX. And we were talking about earlier that you're using the American DJ app, the
Airstream DMX Bridge, yep.
And that's you said that it's simple to use. And that's what we need as a mobile DJ. You want something simple, and that's a way of going without going through getting a DMX controller and hooking up all these wires. I think that's the way to go if you don't want to hassle to go through a big, humongous light show. But that's really up to your client and you. So with me, it's sometimes I'm going to say some people will ask for uplighting, some people won't. But I'm going to say the majority of my clients don't really ask for lights. They don't even address that right away until they, later they go, yeah, I can give you a little light show. So I'll bring that little 3FX1 for American DJ,
yep.
or I'll bring something that's small, and it'll still do the job without putting up all this stuff. It's small but yet compact, and I can just put it on a light stand and it's ready to go. So it just depends on the application. It just depends.
Yeah, as Dance and Tune just mentioned, for most weddings, you don't need DMX lights. You just need to have something to wash the floor, maybe some things up. You mentioned the little micro lasers that are out there. Those look awesome on the ceiling. It doesn't give you this star effect. It gives you some patterns, but I mean, those are quick and easy. You mentioned kind of the multi-purpose lights, or the 3-in-1. There's some different options out there from the major manufacturers. And then I think another one is the trees, where you've got the tree top and it's got a foot switch. Blizzard, Chauvet, American DJ, Eternal, they all have variations of this where it's a tree top and you just put it up on a stand and you can aim the heads and you've got your light show basically all in one.
Yes, I have a Jelly Power profile system. That's one thing I use as well. And there's, like I said, there's different companies that offer different lighting like that. And that's you just plug it in and you have your foot switch on the bottom and you're ready to go. But I'll add a few of the micro lasers on there too as well. So it's really easy. So I just say that just make it easy for yourself. If you don't have a roadie or it's not an elaborate, big production, it can still be, it can still have the wow factor without going big. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And I think you mentioned the Jelly Power system. Great system. It was replaced, or I don't want to say replaced, maybe that's not a good word, but then ADJ came out with the Dots Power system, which was a nice system. One thing I would recommend, though, is when you're paying attention to your gear, is that Dots Power is a heavy. I mean, it's metal. It's a heavy piece. So be aware of, as you're looking at these things and you're watching our videos, some of these are substantially heavier than others, and you want to make sure that it's something that, if I have a bad shoulder, I might not be able to put that up there like that. So, but yeah, I think it's about time. Mike's ready to bounce in here, and our time I see is just about over with our gear chat tonight, or our old DJ chat. Maybe that's what we should call it. We're going to be switching. Let's see. We're going to be switching. I'm just putting into the chat here in YouTube here. That's going to be the second video. We're going to be shutting this one down, coming back with another stream in just a second. So, Mauro, thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me. I totally appreciate just basically
coming and
talking shop with all the old parts out there.
Yeah. If people want to get a hold of you, can they find you on Facebook?
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, also on YouTube as well, and they can just Google me.
That sounds great, Mauro. I appreciate it. Gang, we'll be back in about 3 minutes with our second show tonight.